the news, Oyo State Governor Makinde denies receiving 570 billion naira hardship grant from the Nigerian government. President Tinubu asked security agencies to crack down on illegal miners. And police intercept 250,000 liters of crude oil while combating oil theft. Glad to have you joined us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolye. Now, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has denied claims that his state received part of the 570 billion naira hardship grant purportedly disbursed by the federal government to states. This denial comes after President Bola Tinubu, in a national broadcast addressing the ongoing End Bad Governance protest against hunger and hardship, said that the federal government had allocated 570 billion naira to the 36 states. However, in a newsletter shared on his X handle, Governor Makinde refuted the claims that Oyo State received any portion of the hardship fund. He clarified that the funds in question were part of the World Bank-assisted NG Cares project, a COVID-19 recovery program designed to help states recover from the pandemic's economic impact. Makinde explained that under the NG Care initiatives, states were required to spend their own money in advance on specific projects. This expenditure were later verified by the World Bank and reimbursed through the federal government. He emphasized that the funds received by Oyo State were not grants but loans that the state will eventually have to repay. And President Bola Tinubu has directed security agencies to intensify efforts to crack down on illegal miners across the country. The president said that there are scavengers and exploiters around the country which should be nipped in the bud. President Tinubu also said that his administration will ensure that companies engaged in mineral exploration prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians and the host communities.
I've not looked at is the health implication of exploration and mining. And there's no way you can detach the host community from such hazard, possibility of hazard. So we have to look deep into potential liability or investment. If we learn our lesson from what we have had over the years in the oil and gas production community, I think we must not rely on any mistake of exclusivity in the area of mining. We should understand that people live with the environment, and that environment is important to those who are in the area. Health facilities, because of the problem, hazardous problem that mining can, bring to bear on the population within that area and in generality of our country.
Meanwhile, in his remarks, Rear Admiral Olumuyiwa Olotu, a commandant of NDC, said the institution, established in 1992 as a National War College, has graduated 2,871 participants since its inception. It disclosed that besides participants from 30 African countries, the college has had participants from Bangladesh, Brazil, France, Germany, India, Nepal, and Pakistan.
Well, our expectation is to take it a notch further. We listened to the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals talk about having a sort of collaborative initiative between his ministry and the National Defense College. and we're going to take him up on that so that we can have this joint effort whereby we'll still look at the paper, redefine it, we'll try to refine it further so that we can jointly see how these recommendations can be implemented, and also in our engagements with our service chiefs and other heads of security agencies, we shall also consciously include areas of security concern, just like Mr. President has pointed out, regarding the mining industry. So these are, for me, the next steps for us to take. But of course, it's not all about physical security. We must be able to translate whatever it is that is happening in the mining industry into tangible outcomes that will be beneficial to the entire country, but especially the host communities where these minerals themselves are located.
Meanwhile, in a significant move to combat oil theft and illegal bunkering, the Nigerian police force has intercepted 250,000 liters of crude oil and 180 liters of petrol. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, the force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi disclosed the 13 trucks used in the illegal activities were also seized and 17 suspects apprehended during nationwide anti-oil theft operations. According to him, this achievement underscores the police commitment to safeguarding the nation's petroleum resources.
Operating under the name of MV Aya Oba Olori 2 and its content, about 50,000 liters of automotive gas oil, AGO. In the said case, the court ordered that the vessel be kept under the custody of Nigeria Police Force. Efforts are on to trace and apprehend the fleeing accomplices. Noteworthy is that the arrest was made in joint operation of government security forces and Tantita Security Services Limited. These achievements are a testament to the commitment of the Nigerian Police Force to combating petroleum theft and illegal bunkering. We will continue to intensify our efforts to ensure that security and integrity of our nation's petroleum resources, of course, are maintained, while the police is reassuring the general public and, of course, the Nigerian government of our continuous engagement strategies to make sure we tackle and continue to fight this economic sabotage. We were able to recover 250,000 liters of crude oil, 350,000 liters of AGO, and 13 trucks recovered, 17 persons arrested, and 118,000 liters of PMS recovered from all these criminal activities.
In Lagos, a group of Nigerian women under the banner of the Women Advocacy and Research Development Center staged a protest against bad governance. The women who gathered at the Alausa police station and Alausa Secretariat joined the ongoing nationwide End Bad Governance protest, now on its 9th day, to voice their frustrations in a peaceful demonstration. Abiola Akiode, the leader of the group, called on the government to revamp its economic policies, saying that the rising cost of food and basic necessities have made it increasingly difficult for the average Nigerian to afford 3 square meals a day.
Unfortunately, the address by the president came as a result of the call by the Nigerian people. So we must also understand that they just didn't wake up in the morning to address the nation. That part of the demands of the protesters is that it should come and address. But unfortunately, there are a lot of issues that are concrete. If you look at the 2021 demands that the protesters have put forward, the president failed to address those issues. One of the issues about hunger, while the president was talking about something entirely different, there were things that you would expect that the president would talk about. There are issues of farms. There is insecurity in the farms. People cannot go to farms. In Benue, in Jos, there's other farmers. In other places, there are also issues like that. There is nothing that is being done in particular to address insecurity. So the president has not been able to address that. There are also other things that the president did not address. So those are some of the issues here. What Nigerians want to see is practical application of some of the results of the dialogue. We have had several white papers and nothing happened. So things are not getting better. So what people want is, yes, the dialogue, nobody is opposed to dialogue. We don't want death. There's a lot of people dying across the country. So it's not as if we are not open to dialogue, but the government must show that they are ready to respond to some of those issues.
The Coalition of Geopolitical Youth Association has called on Nigerian youth to suspend the ongoing protest against economic hardships, urging patience and the need to give President Bola Tinubu more time to fulfill his campaign promises. Speaking at a media conference in Abuja, the president of the North Central Youth Assembly of Nigeria, Oluwasukomi Kolawole, alongside other youth leaders, expressed concerns over the escalated violence and property damage associated with the protest. Kolawole commended the armed forces for their professionalism during the nationwide demonstrations, but raised alarms over the increasing involvement of foreign influences. He noted that the appearance of foreign flags and calls for military rule among some protesters is particularly troubling.
I'm not saying the hardship is not true. Of course, there is hardship, but there will definitely be need for us to see how we can set up a committee that will look into these challenges and the policies that the government have put in place that have become so hardened, so difficult for the good people of Nigeria. There is nothing that cannot be solved, that cannot be resolved. Nigerians are actually willing to equally meet with the government. The government should equally be willing to meet with Nigerians so that they can address this issue.
Many hoodlums have taken over the peaceful protest by looting many non-governmental stores, non-governmental houses, cars, and so on and so forth. We simply mean the masses are dealing with the masses. Though we are not calling on the youth, or we are not telling the youth of Nigeria that the hardship, the economic hardship is not real. It is real and it's fact. But we believe that with this action, little action, the president have heard our cry, and they've seen the power of the masses. They've seen what the masses can do. So we are urging on behalf of all the youths to beg Nigerians to see more reasons to step down this ongoing protest.
The Coalition of Civil Rights Organizations has also called on the federal government to immediately and unconditionally release all protesters detained by security forces during the ongoing End Bad Governance demonstrations. The coalition voiced strong opposition to the arrest and also condemned the attacks on journalists by the police and criticized the excessive use of force, which has resulted in numerous casualties. However, they distanced themselves from those engaging in looting and vandalism under the guise of the protest, urging authorities to arrest and prosecute those responsible for such criminal acts.
The demand of Nigerians who have gathered peacefully since August 1st, 2024 must be heard. We seek relief from the economic hardship inflicted upon us by the irrational policy of President Tinubu-led government. The use of live ammunition against peaceful protesters is intolerable and must end immediately. We also declare that the harassment and intimidation of journalists who are bona fide members of the Fourth Estate of the realm for covering the protest is a breach of the Constitution and other relevant international laws, and this should also be stopped immediately. We saw journalists being harassed. We saw journalists from AIT who were shot at the airport, who had serious injury on their leg, broke their leg. We saw a new central journalist. I'm a trained journalist myself. I know the right of journalists in the country to be able to keep Nigeria in the right direction and continue to inform the citizens about policies and decisions of government, and also inform the government. They are the gap between the two sides. And if you now start to now make sure that there's no free press, as soon as there's no free press, then there's no democracy.
We have the list of our people that have been arrested, but these are not all. In fact, there are people that we don't even know. Those who were picked up just by passing on the road, even journalists like yourselves that have been picked up, and several individuals across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This list come up every day because these arrests are made every day. And that is why one of our demands is not to only release the people who were arrested during the EndSARS protest, but also those who are still arrested during this protest and still being arrested even as the protest continues or as we speak. So what we are calling on them is that we must not provide any list. While the list is compiled, every day lists are released. He mentioned some names. Let them stop arresting peaceful protesters.
Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo has identified artificial intelligence (AI) as a crucial tool for addressing the country's educational challenges, particularly in educating over 20 million out-of-school children. Speaking at the third international colloquium organized by University of Lagos Distance Learning Institute, former President Obasanjo emphasized the need for Nigeria to embrace AI to overcome its educational deficiencies. The event brought together various speakers who highlighted the growing role of AI in education, and they all agreed that AI has the potential to revolutionize how learners access and engage with information, particularly in open, flexible, and distance learning.
We have a little bit of educational crisis, and AI must be one of the tools that we will use to get us out of this crisis. The first crisis is the crisis of over 20 million Nigerian children that should be in school that are out of school. We don't need an oracle to say to us that these will be where you will get your recruits for Boko Haram 12 and 15 years from now, if we don't do anything about them. And from what we have heard and what we have seen of AI, AI can be used as an instrument to help us in solving that problem if we will take appropriate action to use AI to help us solve that problem.
We recognize that the future of education is going to be technology-based. And we recognize that Nigeria, with its population of 226 million people, 30% of whom are under 30, which comes to about 1/5. And if we are to make sure that we can bring down unemployment. When there was stigma attached to distance learning education, it was considered second class, second rate. And for many universities, they put the DLI or Open University or COSIT as we had it in the 70s.
Well, you have seasoned scholars. When they come together, they exchange ideas, and as a result of that, policies that can guide the use, ethical use of artificial intelligence in various universities and wherever we find ourselves, so that we'll be able to take the right decision at the right time that will help us move ahead.
We'll go on a break here, but coming up after this break, Tobiamu's unfinished restored fails to reach 100-meter hurdles finals. Details of the story after this break. Welcome back. Now a quick recap of our top stories. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has denied claims that his state received a share of the 570 billion naira hardship grant allegedly debouched by the federal government, as mentioned by President Bola Tinubu in a national address. Makinde clarified that the funds Oyo received were actually part of the World Bank-assisted NG Cares project, a COVID-19 recovery initiative requiring states to spend their own money upfront, which was later reimbursed by the World Bank through the federal government. It said that these were not grants but loans that Oyo State will still need to repay. We also told you that President Bola Tinubu has ordered security agencies to intensify their crackdown on illegal mining activities across the country. He emphasized the need to address the presence of scavengers and exploiters involved in illegal mining. The president also said that his administration will ensure that companies involved in mineral exploration prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians and the communities hosting these operations. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limes World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online.
Corruption not in my country.
Cut. All right. What's your name again? Kemi?
Yes, sir.
Good. Are you ready for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
Next.
No, sir. No.
What? Look, what we need here is one who can speak fluent English. Give her a chance.
I need a angel to hold me. Hold me, my beautiful angel.
Cut! It is Angel, not Angel. Please, I'm done with you. Excuse us. Kemi was far better.
It's not about our rendition. It's not about our performance here. By the time she and her friends join us in our hotel rooms, you will know how far.
Can I have her phone?
She has a robust profile.
Real robust profile. I do not undercut professional ethics. It is an act of corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
It's time for business news, and Victoria Konde is on standby. Victoria, what's the latest?
Well, Tammy, the founder and chief executive officer of Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing, Innocent Chukwuma, has announced that the commuting public will soon benefit from cheaper transportation through compressed natural gas-powered buses. He also urged Nigerians to exercise patience with the Bola Tinubu administration, asking them to give him time. Chukwuma, while addressing journalists after emerging from closed-door talks with President Bola Tinubu at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja on Thursday, described the presidential CNG initiative as the way forward for the country.
I started CNG about 2 years ago, and the first person that started about CNG in Nigeria. And as I come here today, the CNG issue of a vehicle issue will be over. I've discussed with them, and they will see that in a short time, masses, public, will have enough CNG buses on the roads. Government initiative on CNG is the best idea for transportation in this country, because CNG, a lot of benefit on CNG, using Nigeria to use CNG. Because that benefit is what I see before I started the factory to produce vehicle on CNG. Because I have started producing the CNG before the announcement. So today, everybody that try CNG will discover that CNG is way forward for this nation. Yes. And let everybody get patient, because everybody knows that the former government sold oil, corrected the money, don't supply. This government is just supplying, they haven't get the money. So let them give them a chance. Everything will be okay the way I see him. He wants better of this country. So I'm encouraging everybody to get patient, not to destroy our things. Destroying cannot, there's no benefit to destroy. Our benefit is to remain and give him chance to plan for the future of this country.
We'll go on a short break and be back with stock market reports. Now, as we wrap up the trading week, the Nigerian exchange market closed on a high note, advancing by 0.48%, with the market capitalization now standing at 56 trillion naira. And Julius Berger, led today's gainers, closing at 110 naira per share, with Eternal PLC following closely at 19 naira 80 kobo per share. Now, out of the 117 listed equities that participated in trading, 38 emerged as gainers, while 19 were on the losing side. And now, on the final day of trading of the week, over 477 million shares were traded in 9,529 deals, amounting to a market value exceeding 8 billion naira. However, when compared to the previous day, which is Thursday, August 8th, today saw a 21% decline in volume, a 41% drop in turnover, but a 5% increase in the number of deals. Now, turning our attention to the global markets, the US Dow Jones closed in the reds, while the Japan's Nikkei and the UK's FTSE both finished in the greens. Now, switching over to the foreign exchange market, the Naira saw a slight appreciation against the US dollar, trading at 1,610 Naira on the black market. Meanwhile, the British pound traded at 2,090 Naira and the euros at 1,730 Naira. Well, this concludes both our business and stock market reports. Now back to you, Tammy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Victoria. Now, on the global scene, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden are set to make the first joint campaign trip next week since Biden announced his decision to exit the 2024 presidential race, the White House revealed on Friday. Now, since taking the lead on the Democratic ticket, Harris has energized the party, drawing large crowds at rallies and raising unprecedented funds, including closing the polling gap with former President Donald Trump. Now, in contrast, Biden has maintained a lower profile with limited public appearances as his presidency winds down, leaving just under 6 months until his successor assumes office in January. And finally, on sport, Toby Amusan, the 27-year-old world record holder, has failed to advance to the finals of the women's 100-meter hurdles after finishing third in a semi-final heat with a time of 12.55 seconds. Despite a late recovery attempt, Amusan was edged out on the non-automatic qualification sport by athletes from other heats. And another setback for Team Nigeria, the men's 400-meter relay team were disqualified after initially securing a place in the finals due to lane infringement by one of the team members during the semi-final race. Now, earlier on, I spoke with sport analyst Tosin Oluwalowo, and I began by asking him his thought on this new development for Team Nigeria.
Toby Amusan was one of the few athletes that Nigerians had thought would bring back a medal home. If you recollect, in 2022, she broke the world record, and not only did she break the world record, she also won the World Athletics Championship. So that alone had set her as one of the people Nigerians were looking up to be able to at least bring home a medal at these Olympics. If you also recall, at the last Olympics in Tokyo, she came fourth. So there were a lot of high hopes on Toby Amusan. So not qualifying for the final for many Nigerians, myself and many Nigerians, is a big shock. It's more shocking. It would have even been better, so to say, if she had qualified for the final and she did not win a medal. But not qualifying for the final is a big shock to myself and many Nigerians.
Now, the Nigerians men's 400-meter relay team was disqualified after finishing second due to lane infringement. Now, what could have been done differently by the relay team to avoid this disqualification?
Like I mentioned, I'm not sure there's anything they could have done differently because things like this only happen in split seconds. Somebody, your leg just mistakenly crosses to another lane when you shouldn't cross. You get to tussle with another athlete on the track and all of those things. So those things it's not about them doing something differently. It's generally so. It's all of these things that are happening now. Why we are putting this much eyes or attention on our relay team is because we have had a totally abysmal Olympic campaign.
And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Thank you for watching. See you again next time.